Back in 2023, a mysterious white mist swallowed a chunk of the planet, creating a no-life zone where humans awakened as psychics and animals warped into monsters. Fast forward 2 centuries to a desolate village just outside that very same mist zone. Here, a red-haired woman is giving her brother grief for his total lack of stamina, as he's been giving her a boost up a wall for nearly an hour straight. And she's got absolutely zero sympathy for his whining, calling him trash for skipping leg day. But our boy grits his teeth, telling her to just watch what he can do. She peeps over the wall with binoculars, but he suddenly tells her to stop. Turns out for 7 years, he has tried everything to get past this invisible barrier. This place is a prison, and his hope has been dwindling just like this lantern's flame, made worse by the fact that he is slowly going blind from some unknown illness. Despite the pain and frustration, his resolve to escape has never been stronger, because he is sick of everyone telling him that leaving is just a pointless dream. He is done waiting for permission, deciding to take matters into his own hands tonight. Later that night, his sister is asleep when a menacing presence breaks down their door, and our boy wakes her up with the galaxy brain question of "Are you asleep?" earning him the most sarcastic and well-deserved response imaginable. With no time to waste, he tells her to grab Grandpa Mew and get out of there. But she refuses to leave him behind, reminding him of her promise to break the wall. So he makes a promise of his own, assuring her that everything will be okay. A flashback shows the day the mist first appeared, swallowing their entire town 7 years ago. During the chaos, his little sister tripped and fell, getting separated from the fleeing crowd. But a younger version of our boy reached out, desperately telling her to grab his hand, promising they would get out of this hellscape together, no matter what it took. That was the day she vowed to stay with him until he could finally break the invisible wall. Back in the present, he knows he can wait, but Grandpa Mew's health is failing fast, and their only hope for a cure is finding another human settlement outside this prison. He then drops a bombshell, revealing this forbidden zone is only meant to trap Asterisk, him not her. His sister, now wide awake, immediately puts him in a chokehold, refusing to abandon him. He tries to push her away, telling her to save herself and Grandpa instead of wasting time. So he switches tactics, suggesting she could leave, become a powerful psychic, and then return for him. This actually makes her pause for a moment, considering the logic in his desperate plan. And she agrees, but flips the script saying she will prep, so he can leave sooner instead. Before he can even process that, she grabs his arm, asking him not to leave just yet. She pulls him into a hug, just trying to savor the moment before everything changes. This next morning, our boy stands outside, his resolve hardened for the journey ahead. At the same time, his sister is driving Grandpa Mew away, who is suspicious about all their luggage. But she plays it off, nervously claiming they're just carrying some extra tools for a job. Grandpa Mew is not buying it for a second, knowing full well she is hiding something from him. He slams his hand on the dashboard, demanding she stop the car and go back for his grandson. Meanwhile, his sister floors at leaving our boy to face the desolate city all alone. This is Galfan, and he is walking into a death zone that has been growing for 2 centuries. But he is not just anyone. He is the only person known to have ever survived it. Turns out this whole place operates on a set of mysterious, deadly rules, and the only guide is a flawed book pieced together by generations of people who died finding out. So naturally, he strolls right in, completely ignoring the abandon all hope warning signs. He is betting everything on a single memory, determined to find a way out or die trying. With his family safely on their way, Galfan marches towards the invisible barrier one last time. He pushes through the shimmering wall, and the world on the other side is nothing like he expected, because instead of a wasteland, he finds flowers blooming right through the snow. This entire city is overgrown with lush, vibrant trees, a secret paradise hidden in plain sight. Galfan realizes the so-called no-life zone is actually a thriving ecosystem. And for a second, he thinks he has found a new home for his sister and Grandpa Mew. He even finds fresh water and fruit, deciding to take a moment to rest and refuel. Thanks to his sister packing his supplies, he gets to cook up a proper hot meal, enjoying what might be his first decent food in ages, totally unaware of what is coming. Then, mid-bite, his vision whites out as his illness strikes without any warning. That dreaded intermittent blindness is back, and at the absolute worst time. He just grits his teeth, expecting the usual few seconds of darkness to pass. But this time is different, as his eyes flare with a strange energy and his sight returns clearer than ever. His vision clears, revealing a list of rules literally tattooed onto his own arm, leaving Galfan completely baffled by this bizarre new development. These are the restricted area rules, and breaking them means instant death. So he finally understands this whole death zone operates on a strict, invisible system. But just as quickly as they appear, the rules fade from his sight. He connects the dots. He only survived because he washed his hands following a rule he never knew existed. This sparks a brilliant idea. If he can see all the rules, he will basically be invincible here. So naturally, he tries to trigger his new power again and immediately fails, falling flat on his back. It seems this game-changing ability is not exactly something he can control at will. He then deduces that eating the monster meat must have triggered the temporary blindness and the subsequent power-up. Old research confirms it. Monster meat can boost psychic abilities, so he just needs to find more to eat. Meanwhile, at a nearby compound known as the Night Watch camp, a man gets an alert about a sudden energy fluctuation right in the restricted zone. This is Li Xin, captain of the Night Watch, and he is immediately gathering his team. His squad quickly assembles for the mission, ready for deployment at a moment's notice. First up is Yang, who, the team's close combat specialist reporting for duty. He is followed by Zhao Ling, the resident sniper with a serious eye patch game. And rounding out the team is Zhou Xiaoming, their special support member. She immediately starts nagging Captain Li about his still healing injury, much to his annoyance. But he cuts her off, explaining they have detected psychic crystals and need to move out now. His team immediately protests, pointing out they just escaped this place, and he is still injured. But Li Xin slams the table, declaring the crystals are more important than their lives. With their captain's orders clear, the squad snaps to attention without another word. 30 minutes later, they are deep in the restricted zone, having already secured the target crystal. As they flee, Li Xin orders Yang Hu to take the crystal and run while the rest provide cover. Yang Hu does not hesitate, blasting off at superhuman speed to get the package out. And not a moment too soon, because a massive beast lets out a blood-curdling roar, revealing an ape-like monster now hot on their heels through the desolate streets. It launches itself into the air, aiming to flatten Captain Li with a pounce attack. So, he screams for his sniper to take the shot and keep the monster off their runner. Zhao Lang, ever the professional, lines up his shot with that ridiculously oversized rifle. He fires a single high-caliber bullet infused with psychic energy, sending it streaking across the snowy landscape straight for the airborne beast. This monster turns its head, just barely registering the incoming projectile, right before the bullet smashes directly into the side of its skull. Yang Hu glances back, cheering on the perfect headshot from his teammate. This creature crashes into a nearby building, looking completely neutralized for a second, but gets right back up. So, Yang Hu leaps down to finish the job himself. He summons his signature attack, creating a fan of 100 golden spears in midair, unleashing his golden spear 100 flowers to absolutely shred the monster below. Yang Hu gives the order, unleashing his ultimate attack with a furious roar, sending a literal storm of golden spears raining down from the sky, which slam into the ape monster, seemingly tearing it to absolute shreds. But the beast just roars back, unleashing a blue shockwave that deflects every single spear. This blast wave hits Captain Li Xin, instantly stripping the flesh from his entire arm. And Zhao Xiaoming screams in horror, seeing her captain suddenly half-skeleton. He just grabs her, yelling for her to bite him, a perfectly sane request in this situation. She sinks her teeth into his fist, and a green healing energy immediately begins to glow, flowing up his arm and rapidly regenerating all the vaporized muscle and skin. At the same time, the ape monster starts scaling a skyscraper, still very much alive. So, Li Xin leaps onto its back, deciding to take this fight vertical, grabbing its tail for leverage as he prepares for his next move. This monster tries to crush him against the building, but a golden barrier springs up to block the blow, giving Li Xin the perfect opening to scream for his sniper to take the shot. Another psychic bullet streaks through the air, aimed right for the beast's head, and this one lands squarely in its eye, making it howl in pure agony. From a safe distance, Zhao Lang lowers his ridiculously oversized rifle after a job well done. With a monster finally down, Li Xin explains that the zone's psychic fluctuations make it a magnet for trouble. He hopes Yang Hu got away safely, telling Xiaoming it is time for them to pull out too. This two of them then begin their long walk out of the desolate, snow-covered ruins. Just as they are about to leave, Captain Li stops, catching a weird smell in the air, and the entire squad follows his gaze, their jaws hitting the floor at the site below. Because some random kid is having a full-on hot pot party in the middle of a death zone. He is not just surviving out here. He is absolutely thriving, enjoying his meal without a care. Right up until a voice cuts through his blissful moment, and he finds a glowing golden spear pointed right at his throat by a very unamused Captain Li. Gao Fan immediately surrenders, claiming he's just a normal person, probably. That probably does not inspire a whole lot of confidence in the captain. Assuming he is a dangerous criminal, Li orders Xiaoming to pull out their handy identity scanner. She happily obliges, ready to scan this weirdo for any signs of trouble. This device beeps as it analyzes Gao Fan, who is just trying not to look guilty of, well, anything. Turns out he is clean with his psychic score, so low he is basically a non-threat, which only makes Li Xin more suspicious. How did a bottom-tier psychic even get in here? He gives Gao Fan the iciest death glare imaginable, making our boy rethink all his life choices. With his life on the line, he desperately tries to think of a way out of this, and his genius solution is to offer the heavily armed death squad a bowl of soup. Before anyone can process that offer, a new danger alert flares up in the sky, because an entire herd of mutant beasts is now stampeding right towards their location. Li Xin immediately realizes their earlier monster fight was basically a dinner bell for this new horde. So he orders Xiao Meng to grab their new guest while the rest of the team preps for another battle. Xiao Meng immediately starts to panic, asking what the captain is going to do. But Li Xin just flares with golden energy, declaring he will hold the line himself. He tells her to get Gao Fan out of there, convinced the kid is hiding something important. Right before unleashing a massive pillar of light that absolutely vaporizes the incoming horde. As she grabs him, Gao Fan's mind races back to Grandpa Mu's warning about psychics being criminals out here. His first survival instinct, of course, is to try and save his abandoned hot pot. She just ignores his pleas, throws him over her shoulder like a sack of groceries, and starts running. While being unceremoniously hauled away, he mulls over how psychics always act superior to regular humans. It is a lesson he learned the hard way. Power people in lawless zones are usually just murderers. From his upside-down view, he watches Xiao Meng leap effortlessly between crumbling rooftops. Her landing, however, is a bit rough, nearly snapping our boy's spine in the process. He immediately starts complaining that her terrible posture is going to paralyze him for life. She tells him to shut it, or she will drop him. But he is suddenly speechless at the sight behind them, because Captain Li has transformed into a towering golden warrior holding back the tide of monsters. Xiao Meng just proudly confirms that yep, that is their captain in his full-on battle mode. This golden titan winds up channeling an insane amount of energy into its massive spear. With one clean sweep, he unleashes a wave of pure force that carves through the enemy ranks. Gao Fan is completely awestruck, realizing this is a level of power he never knew existed. She then drops the bomb. They are not just any psychics, they are the legendary Night Watch. As they finally break through the mist, he is still trying to wrap his head around that revelation. As they flee, Gao Fan realizes they are about to splat against the zone's invisible barrier. So, he tries to convince Xiao Meng to take a break, but she is having none of his excuses. He switches tactics, playing the "I am too sick to cross this bridge" card with zero shame, which fails spectacularly, since she is just following orders that are apparently non-negotiable. But that thought process triggers a memory of the rules he saw tattooed on his arm. He recalls a specific one about an invisible way being the only method to pass an invisible wall. It clicks, there's a loophole, a specific condition for getting out of this place. But the only problem is he has no idea what an invisible way is supposed to be. Then his galaxy brain connects the dots. An invisible path is one you literally cannot see. His brilliant, totally not insane solution is to just close your eyes and charge straight ahead. Without any warning, he shoves Xiao Meng forward, putting his wild theory to the test, and they both go tumbling right through the barrier, landing in a heap on the other side. Gao Fan sits up, looking way cooler than he has any right to after that maneuver. He looks out at a peaceful lawn he has apparently been staring at for 7 years, finally free. Celebrating his newfound freedom with all the subtlety of a fire alarm, his party is cut short by an interrogation at the Night Watch base, where he gives the name Yishiki. This sniper, Zhao Ling, is handling the questioning, starting with his age, 17. Next up, his gender, confirms his male, just in case the eye patch guy was confused. Zhao Ling finally gets to the point, asking what exactly he was doing in a death zone. And our boy gives the most honest answer possible. He was just trying to enjoy some hot pot. Zhao Ling starts by pointing out the 99.96% death rate for ordinary people in that zone. So, Gao Fan gives the only logical answer. He went there specifically to die, obviously. This sniper is not impressed by this edgy routine, warning him not to joke with the Night Watch. Their little standoff gets interrupted by Captain Li Xin, who hobbles in looking like a mummy's understudy. He casually brushes off any concern for his health, confirming he is far too stubborn to die. Li Xin takes over the interrogation, reminding Gao Fan that he saw him go full golden god mode out there. He then asks the million-dollar question, how did a normal person survive 7 years in a death trap? Our boy explains he was just stuck behind some invisible wall that would not let him out. This entire squad looks at him like he is insane, since they have never heard of such a thing. Gao Fan decides it is story time, ready to launch into the 7-year saga of the invisible wall, and Zhao Ming is already tearing up over how completely outrageous his tale sounds. Li Xin theorizes his eyes must have a special ability to scanner mist, meaning his E rank is a lie. To prove it, he orders Zhao Ling to put Gao Fan's supposed supervision to the test. This sniper pulls out a knife, and Gao Fan just tells him to watch very carefully. right before Zhao Ling unleashes a blindingly fast series of slashes right in front of his face. When asked for a count, Galfan casually nails the exact number, 67 slashes. That settles it for the captain, who pegs him as at least AC rank with enhanced dynamic vision. His next order is a bit less friendly. Have someone test his powers, and if anything's off, dissect him. Galfan immediately starts screaming that he'd rather not be autopsied today. Thank you very much. Once he's been dragged away, Xiaoling asks the captain if he actually buys any of that wild story. Li Zhen admits the kid's story is full of holes, but he does not exactly seem like a bad guy, either. So, Galfan is promptly strapped to a gurney, where he meets the doctor in charge of his test. She immediately gets way too close for comfort, pinching his cheek while he panics internally. This is Sister Novo, the camp's medical officer, who has a very loose definition of personal space. Her first order of business is a standard vision test, which seems a bit tame for a potential dissection. Galfan scoffs at the chart, boasting that his eyesight is perfectly fine. Thank you very much. But Novo tells him to try exploring his eyes' other asterisk functions, and they suddenly start glowing gold. He focuses on the chart across the room, his vision sharpening to an impossible degree. Zooming in so close, he can practically count the atoms on the letter E. Then, his vision punches right through the wall, revealing the raw material on the other side. He realizes he has X-ray vision, a fact confirmed by accidentally spying on a kid in the next room. As Novo asks him a simple question, he starts wondering if this new power works on people, too. And one quick glance in her direction gives him a very definitive, very messy answer. She's completely baffled by his sudden nosebleed during a routine eye exam, of all things. Meanwhile, our boy is just lost in a daze, mumbling about the glorious sights he just witnessed. This official results printout confirming his alias Yoshiki has a C+ talent rank for supervision. He stares at the paper, having absolutely no clue if being a C+ is actually impressive or not. So, Novo sits him down for a crash course on how the whole psychic power scale actually works. She explains the 6 ranks from S down to E, with most psychics falling into the lower tiers. Turns out, S and A rank talents are the absolute 1% heirs of the psychic world, wielding unimaginable power. She lays out the hierarchy of top-tier powers, from superhumans to the ultra-rare mystics and elementals. Novo then clarifies that, while C rank is 4th on the list, it is still impressively high on the psychic food chain. It finally clicks for Galfan. His C+ rank is the reason he's been seeing all this extra stuff. But she gives him a crucial warning. Using his X-ray vision can be detected by other powerful psychics. He immediately stammers that he is still a total amateur with the ability, remembering his little nosebleed incident. Seeing his potential, Novo offers him a full scholarship to the National Psychic Academy for his rare support talent. This place is basically Psychic Harvard, a high-tech city with the best resources and a direct pipeline to the Night Watch. This only problem is its insane exclusivity, as only the top third of all awakened psychics get accepted. This hits home for Galfan, who suddenly admits he dreamed of becoming a night watchman as a kid. He looks at her with pure, unadulterated hope, asking if he actually has a real shot at that life. Novo just hands him an official ID card, certifying him as a safe psychic who is free to go. Our boy is in total shock, realizing he is not getting dissected and is finally truly a free man. She just laughs, telling him Li Zhen's threats were all an act, and he can do whatever he wants now. With his freedom secured, his first priority is finding Grandpa Mu and Sister Xiao Inger to share the news. This scene then flashes back 8 hours earlier to a desolate snowy street where they were last together. A distraught Grandpa Mu is consumed by guilt, blaming himself for leaving Yoshiki behind in the death zone. This red-haired Xiao Inger insists it was a choice, believing the wall could only be broken from the inside. She then makes a solemn promise to the old man she will become a psychic and come back to rescue him. At that exact moment, a massive explosion erupts just down the street, catching them completely off guard because a stampede of armored red-eyed mutant rhinos is now charging straight for them. They barely manage to scramble into a van just as the chaos kicks off, with the entire rhino stampede hot on their tail, down the frozen street. Grandpa Mu's brilliant strategy is to chuck some cardboard boxes at the multi-ton monsters, which shockingly only seems to make the lead rhino even angrier. He quickly runs out of ammo, realizing they are about to become roadkill, screaming at Xiao Inger to just slam the back door and floor it. But it is too late, as one of the beasts is already right on of them. Then some random brawler just appears out of nowhere, stopping the rhino with one hand. He holds a monster back single-handedly, giving their van a chance to escape before winding up a glowing blue punch that sends the beast flying. Their mysterious savior then casually hops into the back with a very stunned Grandpa Mu. This guy is clearly injured but just yells at Xiao Inger to keep driving, no questions asked. She hits the gas, finally putting some distance between them and the horde. Looking back, they see the street littered with the rhinos he took down. Grandpa Mew frets over the guy's wounds, but Shu Inger is more concerned with who the hell he is. Their new passenger cuts them off, warning that the danger is far from over. And right on cue, a pair of glowing red claws tears through the roof of their van, ripping the metal apart like it is made of wet paper. Turns out they have attracted the attention of a massive eagle-like monster from above. So their new bodyguard jumps out, telling them to drive on while he handles it. He shoves a glowing green crystal at Shu Inger, telling her to get it to the military. Before she can even process that he is a soldier, she spots more trouble up ahead, because that giant eagle monster is diving right back down on top of them. This beast's talons tear at the van, but their bodyguard meets it with another glowing fist. He lands a brutal uppercut right in its beak, trying to push it back, roaring at the monster to back off while holding it at bay with pure strength. This van floors it, leaving him to face the city block-sized bird all by himself. With his back to them, he makes them promise to deliver the crystal, vowing that he will not die a worthless death as he prepares for the final clash. Grandpa Mew wants to go back, but Shu Inger knows they have to honor the guy's sacrifice. She stares at the strange artifact, wondering what could possibly be worth dying for. The second her fingers graze the crystal, it erupts with blinding light, and a massive surge of teal energy completely overwhelms her. This power explodes out of the van, sending a shockwave tearing down the street. Back with the soldier, he's about to be ripped apart by the eagle, but he turns just in time to see the tidal wave of energy coming for them. This blast hits the monster head-on with catastrophic force, completely vaporizing it and the soldier in an instant. When the light finally fades, the street is silent and empty. That is when some new guy with a scar shows up, demanding to know what just happened. This scarred man stands there completely dumbfounded, wondering where the giant bird went, and quickly puts two and two together that crystal must have fused with someone. We then cut to a nearby town where Grandpa Mew is just starting to come to his senses, waking up in some kind of high-tech medical bay, immediately surrounded by staff. In a panic, he grabs the nearest person, desperately asking where his granddaughter is. And the purple-haired woman just calmly points across the room, asking if he means asterisk or asterisk. Grandpa Mew turns, his eyes widening in absolute horror at what he sees, because Shu Winger is floating inside a massive containment unit encased in that green crystal. She is completely unconscious, glowing with the same eerie energy that vaporized the monster. So, he immediately tries to lunge out of bed, screaming at them to explain what they have done. But a new doctor steps in, calmly telling him that her condition has nothing to do with them, which is a very unhelpful explanation for the terrified old man. This doctor clarifies that her coma is the direct result of fusing with that superpower crystal, and it finally clicks for Grandpa Mew, who remembers the glowing rock the soldier handed them. This doctor confirms it, showing him a scan of the crystal now fully integrated into her body, leaving the old man to wonder what is going to happen as the power courses through her. Turns out, if all goes well, she's about to awaken as a full-blown psychic. Grandpa Mew cannot believe it, insisting she never had any psychic potential her whole life. But the doctor explains that some people awaken late or their powers are suppressed by others. And while it is extremely rare, Shu Winger might just be a living example of this phenomenon. This doctor warns Grandpa Mew that while Shu Winger is stable, she is definitely not safe. Turns out that massive energy blast put a giant come-get-me sign on her for a group called God's Followers. Grandpa Mew has absolutely no idea who these people are, which is a perfectly reasonable reaction. This doctor clarifies they're a high-powered terrorist group composed entirely of psychics. This cult believes their powers are fragments of a god, and the apocalypse is just their deity's grand entrance. Their whole plan involves wiping out the old world to make way for their new one, a classic villain move. According to their dogma, only the strongest psychics get a ticket to this so-called kingdom of God. Since Shu Winger is now a psychic beacon, the followers will try to convert her into one of their apostles. And if she refuses their generous offer, they will just kill her on the spot. But if she asterisk does join them, the Night Watch will have to take her out anyway, so she is in a real bind. Meanwhile, on a skyscraper overlooking the city, someone is already on the move. A cloaked figure spots his target from above, confirming his founder. He gets a call from his boss, who offers this Raven the title of Ninth Apostle if he brings the girl in. Raven seems more than a little eager to accept the promotion in the creepiest way possible. Elsewhere, Galefan is just trying to get a quiet bus ride through the snowy city. Our boy looking out the window, completely oblivious to the new citywide manhunt he is adjacent to. He is so bored he lets out a yawn that could probably shatter glass, accidentally smacking his head right into the window in the process. At that exact moment, the bus driver slams on the brakes, screeching to a halt, sending all the passengers flying while the driver yells at whatever's in front of them. This driver screams at everyone to shut up, threatening to toss out anyone who makes a sound. Galefan's ears perk up at the word monster, his quiet ride officially ruined. He cautiously peers out the window to see what all the fuss is about, and spots a winged demonic beast just chilling in the middle of the snowy street. This thing is all glowing purple eyes and razor-sharp teeth, clearly not here for friendly chat. Our boy is understandably having a minor internal meltdown over the situation. With a shriek, the creature takes to the sky, making a beeline straight for their bus. But the driver steps out, revealing he is a retired night watchman and a D-rank psychic. He stands his ground as the winged monster dives right at him from above, summoning a glowing energy sword and promising to protect the passengers with his life. This two clash in a burst of energy, while Galefan laments being a psychic with zero combat skills. Still, he refuses to just sit back and watch everyone potentially get slaughtered, determined to find some way to help as his own eyes begin to glow. Activating his vision, he sees the other passengers are just normal people panicking about their impending doom. But then he notices his ability is showing him some brand new information. So he starts scanning the rest of the people on the bus, looking for anyone useful. Turns out a buff dude is an E-rank psychic with a skin-hardening ability, a great start, and an old man sitting nearby is actually an E-rank with a power called Starfire. Unfortunately, the strong guy is paralyzed by fear, and the old man is too frail to fight. This hits Galefan hard. He always thought psychics were all-powerful, but now he sees the grim reality. Just as Galefan is having his revelation, the driver gets absolutely slammed into the pavement. But the old man gets right back up, glowing with power and taunting the beast to come get some. He leaps back into the fray with his energy blade roaring that he's not going down that easily. Meanwhile, the so-called strong guy is having a complete meltdown, crying about how they are all going to die. Some other dude in a suit starts coldly calculating that the driver should be able to win, even if it costs him his life. This earns him a well-deserved slap right across the face for his troubles, courtesy of the Starfire grandpa, who points out that the driver is the only reason they're not dead yet. He reminds the cowards that the man is retired and has zero obligation to sacrifice himself for them. Then, despite his age, he powers up his own ability, ready to throw down and help. Seeing this, the skin-hardening dude finally gets his act together and stands up too. Galefan then drops the bad news that the monster is a D+ rank, meaning they're all severely outclassed. He knows that if the others fall, he is just the last one on the menu. So, with his fists clenched, he decides he is done being spectator. Our boy stands up, introduces himself as a support-type psychic, and volunteers to join a fight. The others just stare, completely underwhelmed by his E-rank and non-combat role. He quickly explains that while support types are not fighters, he can still be useful with intel and coordination. With a grin, he tells them they're all in this together and need to fight as a team. Outside, the driver is getting absolutely pummeled by the demon shadow attacks, his energy sword barely holding back the onslaught. And the monster lands a devastating blow, sending the old watchman flying. Galefan and the other two psychics step out telling the driver they are ready to help take the demon down. But the old watchman is not having it, yelling that he almost died and cannot babysit a bunch of amateurs. So, Galefan drops the bad news. The demon's tail is poisonous and the driver has 3 minutes to live. This understandably gets the old man's full and undivided attention because Gale Force explains his ability lets him see extra intel, like fatal poison timers. The Starfire grandpa immediately trusts the kid asking if he is sure about the diagnosis, and without waiting for an answer, he powers up his own ability with a roar launching a massive fireball to create a much-needed diversion. This ball of pure energy flies straight towards the winged monster and detonates in a huge explosion that fills the entire street with smoke. This driver immediately complains that he cannot see anything, which was kind of the point. He clutches his side as the poison starts taking effect, the pain clearly setting in, but it turns out the grandpa used the smoke to get to his side, buying them precious seconds. He then shoves his flaming hand right on the wound, explaining it'll cauterize it and stop the poison. This driver is shocked that the sickly kid's intel was actually useful, a real vote of confidence. Just as they patch him up, the smoke clears and the demon spots its prey again. It dives in for the kill, claws out ready to finish them both off, but a new body slams in front of them, taking the full force of the blow. It is the skin-hardening dude, his body glowing, as he takes the demon's attack head-on, yelling that his defense will not hold forever, so they better come up with a plan fast. With the tank occupied, the demon immediately turns its attention to the squishiest target available, Gale Force. Our boy instantly realizes this thing is smart enough to go for the weakest link, which is definitely him, and just like that, the winged beast makes a beeline for him, ready to take out the trash. This other scream a warning, but Gale Force just stands his ground, his hands crackling with energy. He has spent his whole life running from monsters and barely surviving, but now he is a psychic, and he is absolutely done being the victim. So he activates his visual enhancement, pushing his power to its absolute limit, revealing a secret trump card. He has been hiding a momentary time stop effect. Turns out all that bored window gazing on the bus was actually productive training. He's never tried to push it this hard before, so this is one heck of a gamble. As the skin-hardening dude rushes to intercept, Gale Force focuses on the frozen demon, deciding with a confident grin to push his ability even further. And suddenly, he is not just stopping time, he is seeing the demon's future attacks. Purple afterimages of the monster's assault swirl all around him, a little overwhelming to say the least. He quickly realizes this is not a hallucination. It is a full-blown combat prediction. This is his chance to shine, to finally be the one calling the shots in a fight. Right before he trips on a rock and eats pavement, a truly majestic moment. Luckily, the skin-hardening dude arrives just in time to intercept the demon with a solid punch. This monster recoils in pain, completely baffled as to how the human even hit it. And our boy can only watch in disbelief as the tank lands a clean right-hook demon's jaw. Galfan is still processing his epic faceplant, completely stunned on the ground. His eyes seeing every attack coming, but his body just cannot keep up with the predictions. The others just stare, debating if he is a master strategist or just insanely lucky, while our boy is just screaming for help since imminent death was not part of the plan. Finally getting the hint, the old watchman leaps back into the fight with his glowing sword, swinging with enough force to end this whole mess for good, and slices the demon's head clean off in one decisive blow. With the monster dissolving into dust, the driver just tells everyone to get lost. Elsewhere, a mysterious old man and his weird horse enjoy the city view from a rooftop, looking way too calm and collected for someone sitting on a ledge in a blizzard. His gaze is sharp and focused, clearly searching for something or someone. After that whole ordeal, Galfan finally gets off the bus, his quiet ride officially over. But before he can leave, the Starfare grandpa stops him for a quick chat, telling him that rank means nothing and that true strength comes from within. This driver and the tank both chime in, saying he has got what it takes to be a night watchman. Galfan is just stunned, not used to getting this kind of praise from anyone. So, he awkwardly thanks them for the encouragement and heads on his way, feeling a bit more confident. Then reality hits. He is alone in the city with absolutely no clue where Shu Winger is. He pulls out a note he was given, a phone number for finding a job in this new world. Staring at a picture of Shu Winger on his phone, knowing he needs to get stronger to find her. With his job hunt on hold, Galfan cheerfully asks a random stranger to borrow his phone, which earns him a deeply suspicious side eye for his troubles. This guy immediately gets defensive, asking why Galfan does not have his own life-saving device. Our boy just smiles, admitting he does not own one and asking if they are expensive. But it turns out phones are mandatory for anyone over 12, a fact that just deepens the guy's suspicion. So, he points a finger accusing Galfan of being some kind of clueless foreigner. Galfan is just baffled by the instant hostility, wondering what he possibly did wrong. Unfortunately for him, the guy is already on the phone reporting a suspicious agent to someone, and he's about to get a full description of the so-called threat. But when he turns around, Galfan has already vanished into thin air. Hiding in an alley, our boy catches his breath, realizing he just dodged a serious bullet. His psychic vision had warned him, picking up on the man's rising hostility and weariness, which leaves him wondering what the heck a god follower is and why they are so feared. But philosophical questions take a back seat to more pressing issues, like being starving and hopelessly lost. He stumbles through the snowy city, completely overwhelmed by his new, very complicated life, with absolutely no idea where to go or what to do next, until a glowing neon sign for the Red Romantic Bar catches his eye. Just then, the door swings open and a woman with purple hair steps out, casually eating a snack. She stops in her tracks, locking eyes with the lost kid standing out in the cold, and seems immediately intrigued by his innocent expression, finding it a rare sight in this world. She gets right in his face, calling him little brother with a very predatory smile, and asks if he's here to play at the Red Romance Bar, making Galfan blush furiously. Leaning in close, she whispers an offer for a drink, really laying on the charm. But the romantic tension is immediately shattered by his stomach growling for its life. This woman just bursts out laughing, realizing the poor kid is just absolutely starving. Changing her tune, she asks for his name and age, now seeing him as a lost puppy. Just then, a green-haired woman named Lily shows up, surprise her friend Dudu has a visitor. Lily immediately sizes up Galfan, commenting on how handsome he is. So, he nervously introduces himself as Yashiki, a 17-year-old who is clearly in over his head. Duda notes that he will be 18 next year, which seems to be a very important detail to her. Her friend Lily, however, jumps to a different conclusion, joking he meant 17 years for one night, which leaves our boy looking like he has just seen a ghost and is about to have a panic attack. He immediately starts shouting that he is a good citizen who promised the Night's Watch he would not do bad things. These two women just stare, completely stunned into silence by his pure, unadulterated innocence. Then they both completely lose it, laughing hysterically at his panicked declaration. Turns out the Red Romantic Bar is just a normal nationwide chain, not some shady den of vice. After teasing him for his wild imagination, Dudu tells Lily to get him some food before he passes out. So Lily happily grabs his hand and drags the bewildered kid inside for a proper meal. A little while later, Galfan is patting a very full stomach after inhaling several bowls of noodles. His host can only watch in awe, wondering if he got kicked out of his home for eating everything. With his stomach finally full, Dudu asks why he is wandering around the city all by himself, and Galfan explains he was separated from his family and is now searching for them town by town. These women are stunned by his story, wondering how he is even surviving without starving to death. So he admits he needs a job to fund his search, but has absolutely no marketable skills. Conveniently, Lily mentions the Red Romance Bar is hiring a waiter for a very simple job, and our boy's eyes light up, completely thrilled at the prospect of finally earning some money. But Lily quickly clarifies there is no salary. He has to earn all his wages directly from customers. Dudu then adds that female clients are known to tip very generously for good service at night, which makes Galfan's brain short-circuit as he calculates the insane number of noodles he could buy. It takes a second, but he finally questions why the big money only seems to come out after dark. They tell him it all depends on his service skills, looking like a pair of very friendly demons. And just like that, the alarm bells in Galfan's head start screaming that something is very wrong. He tries to convince himself he is just overthinking things because, hey, a job's a job, right? But then his eyes turn into literal dollar signs. The pay is just too good to pass up. So with a dramatic pose, he proudly accepts the position of waiter at the Red Romance Bar. These women are ecstatic, promising he will be the star of the show as Lily goes to get his uniform. Galfan is still a bit lost, wondering what kind of special clothes he could possibly need for this. Looking at the building, his gut feeling returns. This place is definitely not just a regular bar. Late at night, the establishment is buzzing with couples and partygoers heading inside for the evening. This interior is a full-blown nightclub, packed with people drinking and having a wild time. Inside, the party is in full swing with drinks flowing and the music cranked up. And there is Galfan in his new uniform, looking about as comfortable as a cat in a bathtub. It takes approximately 5 seconds for a group of women to spot the handsome new hire who immediately swarm him, asking if he is the fresh face on the floor tonight. He nervously confirms it is his first day, completely surrounded and out of his depth. One of them gets right up in his face, asking if he knows about the bar's special services, which sends our boy into a tailspin since Lily definitely skipped that part of the orientation. He is already holding a fat stack of cash, trying to rationalize that this is all perfectly normal, while his brain is screaming that his immortal soul will not be corrupted by money. But the women just find his panicked innocence adorable, promising to come back for him another time. Turns out these stressed-out city dwellers just wanted to pay someone to listen to them vent, and he walks away with a pocket full of cash and a lipstick mark for his troubles. This whole experience leaves him having a minor existential crisis about his new career path. Later, he tries to wash away the day's absolute weirdness in the shower, thinking about how his bizarre new life is nothing like the safe zone he'd imagined. His mind flashes back to awakening his powers and breaking through a wall to save Shuong, which led to him being interrogated at a military camp shortly after. He then remembers the demon attack on the bus, another casual Tuesday in his life, all culminating in him landing a job as a professional companion at a nightclub. With his powers growing stronger, he realizes he has no choice but to master them. He focuses inward, trying to grasp the golden core of his newfound psychic abilities, which immediately sends his imagination spiraling into what this job really entails, and he is pretty sure his innocent soul is not prepared for whatever this is. Meanwhile, in a private room, the bar's real boss, Sister Hong, is looking unimpressed, her sharp gaze noting every detail, and she does not like surprises in her establishment. At that moment, Dudu cheerfully pops in, greeting her boss without a care in the world. She casually explains they hired a new kid because they were short-staffed, but Hong could not care less about staffing, demanding to know if there is any real news in town. Turns out Dudu has some major intel. A frozen girl just appeared and is now with the Night's Watch. This immediately gets Hong's attention, and she orders Dudu to find out who this mystery girl is. And from the showers, Galfan overhears everything, realizing this bar is an intel gathering front. Suddenly, Sister Hong's instincts flare up, sensing that she is being watched, and she whirls around demanding to know who is listening in as our boy's psychic vision captures the entire exchange from a safe distance. He pulls back just in time, his heart pounding from almost getting caught on his first day. This eavesdropping power is a game changer, but it is also incredibly dangerous to use. Back in the room, a confused Dudu asks Sister Hong what just happened, but Hong's eyes narrow, her mind immediately jumping back to the convenient new hire. Dudu just confirms it again, still not understanding the danger she has brought into their operation. This next day, she cheerfully calls for Gao Fan to get lunch, completely unaware of the storm brewing. Dudu peeks into his room with a very cheerful good morning, only to find Gao Fan mid-push-up, looking completely caught off guard. This sight of his physique immediately sends her into a full-blown fangirl meltdown as she lunges at him demanding to touch, which sends our boy scrambling for his life. Dudu plays it cool, asking why he is running when she just wanted to get lunch. He nervously reminds her that workplace harassment is generally frowned upon even here. This just amuses her, commenting on how quickly he has picked up on the world's bad things. Gao Fan tries to get her out of his room so he can get dressed in peace, but her friendly demeanor vanishes as she asks if he spied on Sister Hong last night. That question hits him like a truck. His secret is completely blown. He tries to play dumb, acting like he has no idea what she is talking about. So Dudu slams him against the wall, confirming the bar is an intelligence front. She reveals she knows all about his psychic eyes and demands to know his intentions. Turns out this is not an interrogation. It is a job offer to become their new intel agent. Gao Fan's first thought is about losing his freedom, immediately asking if he can refuse. Dudu is shocked by his rejection, insisting he is a perfect fit for red romance. But he explains he has bigger goals than being an informant. He needs to get stronger. He thanks her for her kindness, but makes it clear he cannot stay here forever. There's a reason he has to go to the restricted zone, even if it kills him. Dudu just accepts it, saying in their line of work everyone has something to hide. Dudu points him towards a recently cleared restricted zone, a perfect place for a rookie to scavenge. She even tosses him a clean phone as a parting gift, promising it is not bugged. It comes preloaded with her and Lily's numbers, leaving the door wide open for his return. Our boy is genuinely touched by the gesture, calling out to her one last time, which Dudu immediately mistakes for him changing his mind. But he is just saying thanks. Her disappointment is palpable as her high hopes are instantly crushed into dust. Gao Fan then makes a dramatic glowing promise that he will definitely be back to repay their kindness. As he heads out into the snowy city, her voice echoes a final, "You promise, right?" Back inside, Dudu and Lily watch him go, reflecting on their weirdly intimate life as information brokers. Meanwhile, Gao Fan checks his map, realizing his psychic powers have stalled and need a real challenge. He decides Restricted Area 77 is the only place he can break through his limits, no matter the risk. Hours later, he arrives at a bleak, snowy encampment teeming with other hunters and psychics. He walks through the crowd, a lone kid in a sea of hardened professionals. Turns out this place is a gold rush for high-level psychics looking to score big in the waste area. Suddenly, a massive guy with a blue braid grabs his shoulder, asking if he is flying solo. Gao Fan confirms he is here alone looking for work, not intimidated in the slightest. This man introduces himself as a Class C captain, conveniently looking for one more team member. He then asks the million-dollar question, what is Gao Fan's rank? With a quick scan, his psychic eyes reveal the whole squad is a mix of C and D-listers. So, he calmly tells the captain he is a level E, which is probably not the answer he was expecting. This captain absolutely loses it, laughing that an E-rank rookie has the nerve to show up here. But that mockery triggers something in Gao Fan as his psychic eyes flare to life, giving him a front-row seat to the captain's very grim future. His vision reveals a parasitic demon latched onto the man's mind, pulling his strings like some kind of grotesque, soul-sucking puppet master. He then sees a horrifying premonition of the captain about to be devoured, where he is left pathetically apologizing to his crew before abandoning them to die. Gao Fan instantly realizes this guy is a walking red flag who will betray his team without a second thought. So, he just turns around to leave, having seen more than enough to make a decision. This captain stops him, condescendingly pointing out that he is going the wrong way, and that the exit for low-level scrubs is in the other direction. But Gao Fan does not even flinch, stating he is entering the zone no matter what. This suicidal declaration earns him a fresh round of laughter from the entire squad. He walks right past them, casually mentioning he'd rather die alone than follow a captain who runs from danger. That comment stops the captain cold, who demands to know exactly what he meant. Gao Fan just shrugged it off, telling him to consider him a dead man walking. He heads off alone, leaving the crew completely baffled by the weirdly intense rookie. This captain, however, is left with a very, very uneasy feeling. As he walks, Gao Fan knows he is out of his league, and E rank in a sea of D ranks is a death sentence. He figures trying to join a team is pointless, since he'd just be used as cannon fodder anyway. With no other options, Gao Fan decides to brave the restricted zone all by himself. He remembers Dudu's briefing about the white mist that blankets the entire area like a dome, and that treasure hunters use the thinner patches of fog as their main entry points. While other teams have expensive gear for this, our boy is stuck with a basic compass and zero cash. Fortunately for him, he has a built-in cheat code, his psychic eyes. His vision cuts right through the fog, but he immediately spots something lurking in the ruins. Turns out the area is crawling with D-rank mist demons that prey on anyone who gets lost. He figures they will not bother him as long as he looks like he knows where he is going, and sure enough, the creatures just ignore him, even though the place is still a death trap. But then, one of the demons suddenly snaps to attention, its eyes glowing with purpose, and it takes off like a rocket, completely ignoring Galfan as it sprints past. At that moment, a truck full of demon hunters barrels through the fog, the driver yelling to stop. This captain is absolutely freaking out, slamming on the brakes in the middle of the road. His crew asks what is going on, completely caught off guard by the sudden halt. Their leader senses a weird energy fluctuation, thinking it might just be an illusion. They drive on, narrowly missing our boy, who is hiding behind a car and having a minor heart attack. He remembers Dudu's warning that getting caught here without a license means a one-way trip to solitary. After they pass, he lets out a huge sigh of relief, thinking he is in the clear. But just as he relaxes, his eyes lock onto some glowing red text materializing in the air. It is a bizarre list of rules for the area, including do not cry and wash your hands before eating. Galfan realizes his psychic eyes can read the zone's hidden rules, a massive advantage for any rookie. He is immediately thrilled, thinking he has found the ultimate survival guide for a casual stroll through hell. So he starts memorizing the list, with the first rule being a very sensible do not kill each other. With his newfound confidence, he ventures deeper into the desolate snow-covered ruins alone. He notices the mist is thinning, which means the real party is just about to start. And right on cue, a shadowy wolf with glowing red eyes emerges from the fog. Our boy's confidence immediately evaporates, replaced by pure, unadulterated panic. This is not just any wolf. It is a D-rank monster, and it is charging straight for him. This size difference is just a little bit intimidating, with the beast absolutely towering over him. It even seems to be laughing, drooling at the thought of its next meal, until the terrifying illusion shatters, revealing a very fluffy, very happy-looking husky. Galfan is completely baffled, trying to process if he is actually seeing a goofy dog in a death zone. Still, he readies his knife, because anything that survives here has to be a monster in disguise. This two of them have a tense standoff in the middle of the snowy street, which the husky immediately breaks by rolling over and wagging its tail like a maniac. Galfan slowly lowers his weapon, realizing this thing is not aggressive in the slightest. He is left wondering if this is just some random pet that wandered into a restricted area. This dog just sits there looking like the goodest boy, clearly not planning an attack. Then it hits him. Dogs have an amazing sense of smell, and he is carrying a steak. He pulls out the meat, and the husky's eyes turn to hearts, confirming its one true motive. He tosses the steak into the air, and the husky goes absolutely ballistic for it. Galfan is still on high alert, convinced this is some kind of deadly fluffy trap, but the dog completely fumbles the catch, letting the steak bounce right off its head. And just like that, all his theories are out the window. It is just a stupid dog. He gives the husky the food, telling it to enjoy the snack he packed for the trip. With his good deed for the day done, our boy waves goodbye and heads off again. Except the husky, now fully fed, starts trotting right behind him with its tail wagging. Galfan tries to shoo it away, but the dog just happily gets in his way. It gives him a big goofy nod, making it crystal clear it is not going anywhere. A quick scan with his psychic eyes reveals this is a sea-level demon wolf trying to partner up, which he finds hilarious, but hey, a free demon wolf is a free demon wolf. So he officially adopts the goofy beast, promising it food in exchange for loyalty. Elsewhere in the zone, a new team of hunters discuss their plans to find a rare artifact. Their leader knows it is a long shot, considering the treasure is worth billions. One of his crewmates is more realistic, suggesting they just hunt monsters for cash. This leader tells him to quiet down, right as a hidden rule appears about not insulting others. At that exact moment, a dark energy spike erupts from the ground, right under him, shattering some kind of invisible shield he had active for protection. This force of the blast sends him flying backwards, completely caught off guard. He barely manages to land on his feet, realizing he just walked straight into a trap. This leader's protective charm shatters on the ground, leaving only a faint purple glow. He shakily gets to his feet, realizing he must have just broken one of the zone's rules. His two crewmates are frozen in place, completely speechless at the sudden invisible attack. Now they're panicking, since their only defense against the area's punishments is officially gone. One of them nervously wonders if this means monsters will just start popping up to attack them. His buddy scoffs at the idea, sarcastically asking if he plans to make friends with them. But then the nervous one spots something in the distance and points it out to the others. Their leader, still annoyed, demands to know what the hell they are gawking at now. His crew immediately shushes him, telling him to keep his voice down for once. Meanwhile, Galfan is respectfully borrowing a dead guy's clothes because waste not want not. Through their binoculars, the team sees him cooking meat over a fire with his new demon wolf. This bald guy is baffled, pointing out that this kid is all alone without a protective barrier. His partner adds that he is also casually hanging out with a monster right beside him. Their leader watches the whole scene, mistaking Galfan's barbecue for some kind of dark ritual. They all come to the only logical conclusion: he must be a follower of some powerful god. From their perch, it seems like the most plausible explanation for his bizarre confidence. Of course, the ritual is just Galfan telling his new dog Simba to wait for the food. This team debates what to do, wondering if he is the legendary divine son who is immune to the rules. Their captain wisely decides against a fight, admitting they have no idea who they are dealing with. So, the plan is simple. They will just sit back and watch the weirdo from a safe distance. With the steaks perfectly cooked, Galfan gives Simba the green light to chow down. But the dog suddenly stops, dropping into an aggressive stance and growling at nothing. Right before the ground in front of them absolutely erupts with a deafening roar, and a massive, glowing scorpion demon bursts from the snow, ruining their barbecue. Turns out, it is a C-class monster known for burrowing underground to ambush its victims. Galfan immediately tenses up, knowing he is completely outmatched against this thing. This scorpion wastes no time, lunging forward with its massive pincers ready to crush him, forcing our boy to leap backward in a desperate attempt to dodge the attack. Just as the monster closes in, Simba looks up, clearly not happy about the interruption, and the scorpion's stinger smashes into the ground right where Galfan was standing. His new pet steps in front of him, protectively, finally revealing its true demon wolf form. This goofy husky is gone, replaced by a much more intimidating beast with glowing red eyes. Galfan, ever the pragmatist, dangles a steak and promises a ton more meat if Simba wins, which is apparently the only motivation this demon wolf needs to get serious. Fired up by the promise of a feast, Simba charges straight into the fray. But the scorpion easily parries the attack with its armored claws, sending sparks flying. Simba finally gets a lock, sinking his teeth deep into the monster's pincer. He starts thrashing it around, trying to overpower the scorpion with sheer brute force. But Galfan realizes it is a stalemate unless he can find a weak spot in that heavy armor. So he activates his psychic eyes, letting a fiery aura flare up around him to scan the enemy. His psychic eyes immediately lock onto the scorpion's weak spot, a glowing blue joint on its stinger. Galfan shouts the new game plan, ordering Simba to aim for that exact vulnerability. With fresh orders, the demon wolf lunges past the pincers to get behind the monster and sinks his teeth deep into the stinger's joint with a sickening crunch. He then violently thrashes his head, ripping the entire weapon clean off the scorpion's body, which is Galfan cheering from the sidelines like a proud, slightly terrified dog owner. This monster's primary weapon shatters in a burst of blue energy, leaving it totally disabled. With the threat neutralized, the severed tail clatters uselessly onto the snowy ground. Simba lets out a triumphant howl as Galfan congratulates his very good, very deadly boy. But our hero's celebration is cut short when he senses they're being watched. Elsewhere, the hunter team is having a collective meltdown, convinced he is some kind of monster tamer. Their leader even wonders if he is the legendary puppeteer, a top follower of a powerful god. One of his crewmates has a simpler theory. Galfan's just weak, and they should jump him for the reward. At that exact moment, Galfan appears right above them on a ledge, casually saying hello, sending the team's captain into a state of pure, unadulterated shock. Our boy just looks down, having clearly overheard their entire genius plan to ambush him. These hunters try to size him up, noting he is just one guy with a dog, while their leader confidently points out that there are 3 of them, so the math is on their side. His buddy agrees, calling Galfan a cheap-looking amateur who is ripe for the picking. Galfan starts to sweat, hoping they do not actually try anything as a new rule appears: do not attack your own kind. Galfan's internal monologue is a full-blown panic attack, since these guys clearly do not know the rules. He knows even with Simba, he is dead meat, and their punishment will not matter much to his corpse. Down below, the hunter leader stares him down, knife at the ready for a fight. With no time to think, Galfan realizes he has to pull something out of his hat, and fast. So, he goes for the ultimate bluff, coolly asking if they have any idea who he is. This immediately throws the hooded hunter for a loop, reinforcing his divine son theory. Their leader, however, just thinks Galfan is all talk and no substance, a classic rookie mistake. But the bald guy is absolutely losing it, convinced they are about to anger a god's apostle. Now thoroughly intimidated, the whole team respectfully asks for His Excellency's identity. Galfan flips the script from his perch, telling them it is only polite to introduce themselves first. Internally, he is celebrating his own genius for completely diffusing the situation with pure confidence. This leader, Zhao Cixi, immediately apologizes and introduces himself as an endurance-type psychic. But before he can finish, Galfan cuts him off with a sharp, commanding quiet. Zhao Cixi is completely baffled by the sudden order, wondering what he just said wrong. Galfan then declares that for drawing his weapon, Zhao Cixi must endure one attack as punishment. He tells the hunter to just stand still, triggering a hidden rule about responding to your name, leaving Zhao Cixi on high alert, trying to figure out what kind of invisible attack is coming. A sudden energy blast smashes into the wall right beside him, a clear warning shot. Then a massive spectral blade materializes out of nowhere and skewers him clean through the chest. This hunter collapses to the snowy ground, taken out by a rule he never even knew existed. The two remaining hunters are completely losing their minds, staring in disbelief at what just happened. One of them is convinced Galfan must have some kind of S-level word-based attack talent. Internally, Galfan is celebrating his genius bluff, then coldly asks which one of them is next. That is all it takes for the crew to drop to their knees and beg for forgiveness, completely broken. With a final intimidating glare, our boy just tells them to get the hell out of sight. And just like that, they're scrambling away, carrying their unconscious leader with them. Galfan watches them go, breathing a huge sigh of relief that he managed to avoid certain death. He immediately turns to Simba, promising a big steak dinner for being such a good, intimidating boy. Elsewhere, at some kind of hunter outpost, the fallout from this encounter is just beginning. Because Zhao Cixi's crewmate bursts in, desperate to report what he just saw to his lord. A new commander with some serious-looking headphones calmly asks him what the big deal is. This guy explains they ran into an absolute monster of a hunter, at least A rank, maybe even S rank. Now intrigued, the commander sits down and tells him to spill all the details immediately. He describes a masked man who commands a demon wolf and uses word magic, suspecting he is a god's follower. That last part gets the commander on his feet, demanding the location to see this follower for himself. 4 days later, deep in the restricted zone, Galfan and Simba are clearly grinding for experience. Turns out all that hunting paid off. Simba has officially evolved into a B-level demonic wolf. Galfan notes his pet is now strong enough to take on a B-class crocodile all on his own. And speak of the devil, Simba is currently locked in combat, tearing into a massive armored croc, which retaliates with a devastating swipe of its energy-infused claws ready to crush him. From a safe distance, Galfan yells at Simba to go for the crocodile's soft underbelly. And thankfully, his demon wolf is just smart enough to follow simple battlefield commands. So he lunges forward and tears a massive chunk out of the monster's weak spot. Galfan muses that a 3-second contact rule means he cannot even ride Simba. A real shame. Meanwhile, a winged figure is soaring high above the forest scouting the area, and it quickly confirms that the kid with the demon wolf is exactly who they are looking for. Turns out, it is the commander's scout reporting that Galfan's power seems to be remote control. But their surveillance is cut short when a massive pillar of pink energy erupts in the distance, which has the whole squad thinking a legendary forbidden artifact just spawned. Down below, Simba stands triumphantly over the now dead armored crocodile, and Galfan finally spots the same ominous beacon lighting up the sky. His first thought, naturally, is that some kind of treasure is up for grabs, so he figures since they are alone, they might as well go investigate. With that, the duo heads off through the strange pink forest toward the light. Galfan realizes he has already traveled 100 kilometers without even reaching the zone center. Right before Simba stops dead in his tracks and lets out a warning howl. Looming over them is a massive stone golem, the source of the energy pillar, and it looks absolutely nothing like the small fry they have been hunting so far. He immediately recognizes it as the Black Serpent, a legendary gatekeeper, and knows instantly that even with an evolved Simba, they do not stand a chance. So, faced with a legendary gatekeeper, Galfan resorts to his one proven tactic, bribery with meat, and against all logic, the massive stone golem seems genuinely interested in the stake offering, giving our boy a sliver of hope that his absurd plan might actually work. Elsewhere, the Hunter Commander squad tracks the same S-level energy spike, convinced it is a forbidden artifact. Their leader, Commander Wu, rallies the troops, ordering them to get ready to seize the prize. He warns them that the area spawns sentient monsters to guard these things, so they need to be careful, which is a little too late as a swarm of insect creatures erupts from the ground to ambush them. This commander shouts a warning as the horde of monsters charges straight for his team, then orders everyone to unleash their psychic abilities and clear a path through the swarm. His crew immediately transforms, revealing a whole squad of beast-type psychics ready for a fight. This entire team, including a massive 3-headed wolf, squares up against the monster tide. They immediately start carving through the bug creatures with a flurry of colorful energy attacks. One hunter zipping through the enemy ranks and slicing them to pieces with a glowing blade. After clearing the swarm, the team descends into the obsidian forest, the inner circle of the Forbidden Zone. But they are immediately greeted by a massive spectral snake, catching the commander completely off guard. And the python wastes no time, firing a devastating energy beam that he barely manages to dodge. One of his men identifies it as an A-level hell nether python with highly corrosive attacks. To make matters worse, even more monsters are now gathering, drawn to all the chaos. Commander Wu orders his team to push through as his three-headed wolf beast confronts the python. He is already yelling at his own beast to get back on its feet, showing just how outmatched they are. Commander Wu's three-headed beast powers up, each head crackling with a different elemental energy, and unleashes a coordinated blast of fire, ice, and shadow magic on the approaching monsters, creating a massive explosion that absolutely decimates the front lines of the swarm. With an opening cleared, the squad pushes forward while their captain stays behind to hold the line, coming face to face with a massive hell nether python looming over him. One of his men tries to land a hit, but his blade dissolves into nothing before it even connects. And in the next second, the python's tail smashes into the three-headed wolf with brutal force. The snake sinks its fangs into one of the wolf's heads, its corrosive venom sizzling on contact. But the beast roars back, ready to prove it can bite back just as hard. It is a losing battle, though, as the python begins to coil around the wolf, constricting it completely. Even Commander Wu is feeling the heat as the corrosive gas melts the clothes right off his back. His team starts to panic, screaming that they are being overwhelmed and cannot hold out any longer. Because it turns out this whole forest is crawling with even more high-level monsters. Commander Wu finally realizes he might have slightly underestimated the dangers of this Forbidden Zone. So, he makes the smart call, ordering a full retreat before they all get wiped out. He tries to save face, thinking no one could possibly break through a defense this strong anyway. Elsewhere, Galfan lets out a sudden massive sneeze, completely oblivious, and wonders why he is hearing a battle when a simple steak is enough to bribe the guards. He turns to Simba for confirmation, who just gives a happy little woof in agreement. As the two of them casually stroll right past the now pacified Black Serpent Gatekeeper. 5 hours later, Galfan is looking less than thrilled with his scenic hike, having trekked 10 kilometers through this stone forest with the artifact still nowhere in sight. Suddenly, a small purple creature materializes right in front of him, catching his eye, which immediately reveals itself to be a massive A-class Scorpio glowing with menace. Instead of panicking, our boy is actually thrilled to finally find a worthy monster. He figures if he can tame this thing, he will basically own the entire Forbidden Zone. So, he unleashes his ultimate secret technique, the legendary barbecue meat attack. This A-class monster is completely baffled by this turn of events, just staring at the food. It cautiously picks up the offering, giving it a good sniff before taking a bite. And just like that, the hostility is gone, replaced by a very friendly, sparkly scorpion. Unfortunately, his new friend immediately starts begging for more, but Galfan is fresh out. This scorpion then turns its hungry gaze towards Simba, and the plan starts to unravel. He quickly tries to explain that Simba is family and definitely not on the menu. After a moment of thought, the scorpion just gives up and burrows into the ground. It completely vanishes, leaving Galfan standing there after a successful dine and dash. Our boy is left fuming that the monster just ate his food and then left without a word. He sits down with Simba, realizing that A-level monsters cannot be tamed so easily. It is a classic case of trying to lure a dog with a meat bun and losing the bun. Simba lets out an offended little woof, clearly not appreciating the comparison. So, Galfan has to awkwardly explain to his wolf that the metaphor was not about him. Galfan has to break the bad news that he is officially out of meat for his new golem friend. But, as he is about to settle for soup, Simba suddenly perks up, sensing something. He lets out a sharp bark as the purple scorpion from before comes flying back and promptly drops a freshly hunted pig right at their feet as a return gift. Turns out the A-class monster did not dine and dash. It just went on a grocery run for them. Elsewhere at the source of the energy, a new hunter squad has located the Forbidden Artifacts Gate. Their leader orders her team to defend the perimeter while she tries to decrypt its rules. This crew, including a B-rank archer and a C-rank warrior, quickly forms a defensive line. Touching the gate, she immediately confirms the psychic energy is at least A-level. One of her guys, a sledgehammer user, offers the brilliant strategy of just smashing it open. This leader immediately shuts that down, explaining these artifacts follow rules, not physics. He argues that since they do not know the rules, they might as well try something. Another member with glowing iron fist decides to test that theory himself, powering up for a strike. He unleashes a massive blow right into the seam between the two stone doors, which predictably does not even budge an inch under the full force of his attack. This entire squad just stands there in a moment of deeply awkward silence. Their leader reminds the impulsive hunter that brute force is completely useless here. On the bright side, she says his little stunt at least confirmed the artifact is not aggressive. Because if it were a high-risk type, she adds, he'd already be a puddle on the ground. With no other options, they're stuck trying to figure out the rules through tedious trial and error. Just as the hunter squad is stumped, their leader senses an approaching presence, and right on cue Galfan strolls in having finally reached the artifact's location. He casually observes the blood-soaked battlefield, noting it is not exactly a peaceful scene, which is when the squad leader spots him and his pets, immediately sensing malicious intent. This hunter team squares up, demanding to know who this mysterious newcomer is. But Galfan just plays it cool, claiming he's only here to watch the show. Of course, nobody buys that for a second in the middle of a forbidden zone. And the leader starts doing the math, thinking his 6 guys can easily take on Galfan's crew of 3. He even convinces himself that Galfan is hesitating out of fear of their strength, assuming he must be waiting for reinforcements before making a move. Based on this flawless logic, the leader decides they absolutely have to strike first. While Galfan just sizes up their B rank and C rank members with a bored expression, this hunter leader gives a big speech about how only the strong get treasures before leading the charge, leaving Galfan annoyed that they completely ignored his very reasonable request to be left alone. One of the hunters leaps forward, yelling that if they kill the master, the pets are no problem. Right before the ground erupts and his attack is met by a massive purple scorpion. This leader's face drops as he realizes this kid has an A-rank pet, which means he is way out of their league. And Galfan calmly reminds them that he did, in fact, tell them not to attack. A system message then helpfully announces that the scorpion has entered hunting mode, as Galfan explains that once it starts, not even he can call it off. This hunter leader is completely paralyzed with fear, sweating buckets, as the scorpion's aura washes over him. He immediately tries to de-escalate, claiming they are just a humble poaching group who wants no trouble. But Galfan is not buying it, asking why they were acting so tough just a moment ago. He then casually brings up the fact that he is pretty sure someone just threatened to kill him. This brawny hunter who made the threat immediately denies everything, insisting it was a big misunderstanding. His boss smacks him on the head, demanding he show some respect and call Galfan Sr. This leader's attitude does a complete 180, now politely groveling and assuming Galfan is here for the treasure too. Galfan just plays it cool, confirming that is more or less the reason he is here. He then gestures to the glowing gate, asking if that is the prize they have been struggling with. This leader eagerly explains that they are totally stuck and cannot figure out how to get it open. He then graciously offers the artifact to Galfan, saying it must be fate and they will not stand in his way. Of course, his men are whispering about their brilliant plan to let Galfan do the work and then run away. Galfan sees right through them, realizing this crew has absolutely no clue how the artifact works. He correctly deduces their scheme is to let him unlock the treasure so they can snoop in and steal it. Deciding to play along, he figures he should at least get their names first. So, he turns to the squad leader and asks him to introduce himself. This guy proudly announces he is Wong Wu, a B-level psychic swordsman. Galfan finds the name a little too generic and decides he needs to verify it somehow. Wong Wu just smiles and confirms his name, completely oblivious to what is coming next. Then Galfan hits him with a bizarre test, giving him 10 seconds to solve 1 + 1. Wong Wu is completely baffled by the question, hesitantly answering that it is obviously 2. Galfan tells him he is wrong, explaining that this little pop quiz comes with a punishment. Because now that he knows Wong Wu's real name, the artifact's rules are officially in play. In the next second, a pillar of violent purple energy erupts from the ground right under Wong Wu, sending him flying as the artifact's defense system activates with brutal efficiency. His squad rushes over, completely shocked their leader just got taken out by a simple math problem. As they help him up, one of the braver members turns and demands to know what Galfan is doing. Galfan just turns that question right back on them, his eyes glowing with cold intent. He calls them out on their brilliant scheme to use him as a guinea pig for the artifact's rules, leaving Wong Wu completely speechless, having been caught red-handed in his own trap. One of his lackeys tries to deny everything, but Galfan is not buying their pathetic excuses. So he lays out their options. Leave now, help him test the rules, or this unspoken third choice is pretty clearly die, which Wong Wu seems ready to accept. Galfan gives the squad a generous 10 seconds to make their final life-altering decision. These hunters immediately start to panic, unwilling to give up the treasure they worked so hard for. Wong Wu makes his choice, ordering one of his men to cover him while he powers up an attack. Unfortunately for them, a system message confirms they just violated another rule by doing that, and the hunter who was just given the order gets absolutely annihilated by the artifact's defenses. Galfan casually notes that all their tough talk seems to have suddenly stopped, This entire squad is now on their knees, begging for their lives and promising to leave immediately. With that, the remaining hunters scramble for their lives in a full-blown panic. While Wang Wu realizes Galfan just weaponized rules that have stumped humanity for centuries, he finally gets the message. This kid is on a completely different level. After the coast is clear, Galfan and Simba are left alone in the snowy landscape. Galfan admits it as a relief they did not have to actually fight that annoying crew, though he is definitely enjoying the feeling of bending a forbidden zone to his will. Now for the real question, how does he actually take this giant glowing door home? As he approaches the gate to figure it out, Simba suddenly starts barking like crazy, and Galfan looks up to see a massive ominous swarm gathering in the sky. From this vortex of dark energy, a new challenger appears, introducing himself as a believer. This guy who calls himself Raven is clearly not here to make friends. Galfan immediately recognizes the name as a world-famous terrorist group. Just great. Raven explains that an artifact this powerful naturally attracts attention from his organization, but he warns that knowing the rules to open it is only half the battle. Apparently, whoever walks away with the prize becomes public enemy number one for every major faction. Galfan points out that for someone so concerned, Raven does not seem too interested in the artifact. Turns out the artifact was just a bonus. Raven's real target is Galfan himself. Our boy is understandably a little confused by this sudden personal interest. His system cannot even read Raven's level, showing only question marks, which means this new guy is at least a plus rank, maybe even S-class. Raven smugly analyzes Galfan from afar, pegging him as a weak B-level psychic. In response, Galfan just tells Simba to enter battle mode, unleashing the giant wolf. Our boy immediately realizes this new guy has some serious analytical skills to see his true power level. From his perch, Raven continues to underestimate his opponent, completely shrouded in a dark aura. But Simba does not wait for an invitation, launching himself forward in a blaze of glory, forcing Galfar to yell a quick warning for his pet to be careful. Simba lets out a powerful howl, trying to counter Raven's oppressive energy, but he is immediately met with a storm of razor-sharp purple needles raining from the sky. He tries to push through the attack with another defiant roar, though the sheer volume of the assault is clearly overwhelming him. Raven just scoffs from above, calling Simba pathetic as the wolf is blasted backward through the air. He then summons a massive stone fist, telling the stupid beast to get out of his way. This fist grabs Simba midair, crushing him in its grip, while Raven tells him to stop struggling. And just like that, Simba is completely obliterated, leaving Gal far stunned as Raven demands his surrender. This terrorist then dives in for the kill, sarcastically offering protection in exchange for barbecue. But just as he is about to strike, though a class scorpion erupts from the ground to defend its new friend, Galfar is completely caught off guard by his pet's sudden life-saving intervention. This scorpion easily blocks Raven's attack with a blast of its own energy, which leaves the S-class terrorist looking absolutely dumbfounded for a change. And their combined power explodes, shattering the entire cliff face in a massive shockwave. Raven gets blasted by the scorpion's attack, completely stunned by its raw power, and he realizes Galfar is somehow controlling a full-blown A-class demon. The stinger even managed to poison him, forcing the S-class terrorist to focus on detoxing right as the scorpion unleashes another vicious high-speed assault, making Raven concede defeat for now, admitting he seriously underestimated his opponent. He then vanishes into a cloud of dark energy, leaving Galfar standing victorious. Of course, he leaves with a classic villain promise to return and show them real power. With the coast clear, Galfar sincerely thanks his scorpion for the life-saving intervention. He then immediately checks on Simba and his other pet, worried they were seriously injured. Turns out the whole crew is back on their feet, looking perfectly fine after the brawl. Our boy gets a little emotional, promising to never forget how they risked their lives for him. Now, with all the interruptions handled, he gets back to the main prize, wondering how to move it. As he focuses on the gate, his special eyes suddenly reveal the rules for claiming the artifact. This condition is surprisingly simple. All he has to do is recite a poem to the door. So, Galfan starts spouting some classical literature he conveniently remembers, and the ancient gate immediately begins to crack and crumble under the verse's power. Even he seems a bit shocked that the solution was literally just a bit of poetry, as the entire structure shatters into 1,000 glowing pieces right before his eyes. He muses that nobody in the 23rd century reads books, but his isolated past gave him an edge. Finally, he follows his system's advice, infusing his psychic energy to claim the artifact. Galfan places his hand on the artifact, ready to pour in his psychic energy to claim it. And a minute later, he is passed out flat on his back in the snow. Turns out he drained every last drop of his power and got absolutely nothing for his trouble. He admits that hanging around stronger psychics might have given him a bit of a big head, because his E-level energy is a literal joke compared to what this A-level artifact requires. So, he calls over his pets, Simba and the Scorpion, with a fun new idea in mind, which causes a tiny pink spark to erupt from the distant cliffside. While hundreds of kilometers away, alarms start blaring inside a military research facility. Scientists are scrambling, detecting a massive energy spike coming from Module 7. Inside a containment unit, a red-haired woman floats, surrounded by crackling teal energy. An old man, Grandpa Moo, watches her through the glass, feeling a strange connection as she stirs. Her eyes suddenly snap open, glowing with an intense pink light. Grandpa Moo is overjoyed, pressing against the barrier and calling out to Shu Winger, but she is completely disoriented, asking him what is going on and where they are. A nearby guard bluntly informs her they are currently guests of a military camp. Shu Winger's eyes narrow as she recognizes the guy's face from somewhere before. He strikes a pose, introducing himself as Yang Hu and bragging about his unforgettable good looks. Her first priority is not a reunion, though. It is demanding he pay for the car his demon fight wrecked. Yang Hu starts sweating bullets, clearly not expecting to be hit with an invoice. She demands to be let out, but he just tells her to look down, implying she's the reason they're all locked up. Xiao Inger cracks her knuckles, trying to figure out what just happened to her body. She looks down to find herself trapped inside a massive self-generated ice crystal, and Grandpa Moo explains she is merged with an energy stone, gaining a new ice ability. She immediately remembers the crystal he threw at her, finally putting the pieces together. Standing in her own personalized fortress, she is in awe of the power she now wields. Yang Hu tells her to get some rest, promising a full debriefing later on. With a final click, the door to her containment cell seals shut for the night. This guard immediately gets on the phone, reporting that their new asset is finally woken up. Turns out her preliminary analysis is a solid A rank, and she needs to be protected from the believers. Yang Hu promises to do everything in his power to keep her safe from their enemies. This very next day, things are already looking a lot more cheerful, as Xiao Inger celebrates becoming an A+ ability user just by taking a nap. She is thrilled she can finally protect her brother 17, and asks if there is any news. Grandpa Moo just tells her to focus on recovering, admitting he is worried about the boy too. Just then, they hear the sound of heavy footsteps approaching their room, and in walks Yang Hu, checking in on his new high-value guest. She tells him she is ready to go find her brother, which shocks him since she has already mastered her powers. But he is not here for a wellness check. He's got some serious news to deliver. Xiao Inger looks at him expectantly, wondering what could be so important. He turns to Grandpa Moo, asking why he has not told her the truth about a certain matter. Grandpa Moo and Xiao Inger listen with serious faces as Yang Hu lays out the new plan, revealing they have tracked believer activity and need to move her to a secure city immediately. But Xiao Inger's only priority is her missing brother, 17, demanding they go find him now. Yang Hu flatly refuses, explaining that with her unstable powers, she is too dangerous to be let loose. She has no idea what he is talking about, completely baffled by the sudden change in attitude. So, to prove his point, he throws a surprise punch directly at her, triggering a massive instinctual flare of her newly acquired ice abilities. She effortlessly blocks the attack, her power lashing out to defend her on its own. His entire arm gets encased in ice, though he does not seem even slightly bothered by it. Shu Winger, however, is completely horrified by what she just did unconsciously. Yang Hu explains that her A+ power is a ticking time bomb tied to her emotions. This terrifying reality of her new condition finally starts to sink in for her. He then pulls out a photo of her brother, making it clear this is for his safety too. That gets their full attention as they both desperately ask where 17 is. His last known location was outside restricted area 77, and he may have gone inside. Shu Winger is floored, realizing her brother somehow made it out into the wider world. Yang Hu confirms it is true, handing over all the register information they have on him. She suddenly remembers that 17 was always special, the only one who could leave their zone. He assures them the search is still ongoing, trying to keep her from panicking too much. Seeing she has no other options, Shu Winger agrees to cooperate, but on 2 conditions. Her first condition is simple. Once she can control her power, she wants to become a demon hunter. As for her second, much more important demand, she